All right, here's part 3 of getting your home garden ready to go, okay? So the next thing is we need to get things planted, but the soil has to get prepared. I don't know if you guys live in a place like I do, but we have grass. It's not really even good grass anymore. It's mostly just weeds, and that's actually probably better. So it's no longer a monoculture yard. It is. I can look around and probably have 10 or 15 different plants that are growing in my yard. We would call them weeds. A lot of them are edible. You can go and look on my YouTube video about the edible weeds in your yard. And so we live in an old pine forest, so pine grew everywhere. So you can even see my next door neighbor's yard. See all those pine trees? That's what the whole place was. So over the years and years and years of that pine forest dropping pine needles and pine needles, we just have a tremendous amount of compacted red clay. Red clay does not grow very much of anything. And so what I'm gonna have to do is Broadfork or till up the front yard where I want to plant and start to get the soil reconditioned. So I'm going to use a Broadfork instead of a tiller. And the reason I'm going to do that is because the Broadfork helps to keep things intact. So when you start to till up the earth, you're going to start to spin and turn and cut up all sorts of organisms that are really important to the soil. Earthworms are really important, little roly-polies, but there are tons of little fungal strands that run all the way through your soil systems. Those get destroyed. You put stuff that's really far down, way up top. You fully oxygenate areas. You start to release carbon. There's short stores of carbon and longer stored carbon. So lots of different things are happening when you till. Now, for the very first time, as you're getting like a yard ready that's previously had grass, you might need to use a tiller. There might just not be a better way, but I don't have a tiller. And I am going to do my best to not kill any type of organisms especially the earthworms. So I'm going to use something called a Broadfork. Now mine is called Meadow Creature Broadforks, and it's got 4 tines that are about 12 inches long, and I'm going to sink those into the grass, into the soil, and then I'm going to lift it up, and I'm going to break off big pieces, get the grass, the weeds, the roots all the way out, and then I'm going to amend that soil with compost. So around me we have a great place called Atlas Organics. They deliver compost. It's about $350 for 10 yards. That's a lot of compost. So we opted to go pick it up. It was about $40 for a cubic yard, and that was plenty for us. And then over the years, if you use a no-dig method or a no-till method, you can just keep on putting more and more wood chips or compost. If you're composting in your all of your all of your vegetables and fruits that from your kitchen, if you're using kitchen compost, I'll do a different video on composting, then you can add that to your soil, and then you don't have to till. You want to kind of keep all that intact because that's its own little ecosystem underneath the ground. So when you repeatedly till that up, you strip it of all of its nutrients and it kind of destroys it. So we definitely want to make sure that we're keeping our soil as healthy as possible, because that's going to help us keep our fruit and vegetables that we're growing really strong and full of nutrition. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I Broadfork, and I'm going to switch this over to Virginia. All right, I'm just going to hand it to you. You're going to have to just Okay, we're gonna do a little dance here. We're gonna go around. So one of the things that I have to be careful about is my maple tree here. So my maple tree is it was a gift for my birthday, and it's beautiful. It's a what's it called, an October sunset? It's called an October glory. So it's blazing reds and oranges and yellows in the fall, and it's just really beautiful. But it also has an incredible root system. So I'm not going to do anything to damage its root system. I did get into it a little bit in my garden over there, but I'm just going to try to move away from it a little bit. So I'm going to Broadfork an area that I haven't before. And let's see. All right, Virginia, you want to go down to the sidewalk, and then I'll see if I can see. Okay, perfect. All right, drop it down just a little bit. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to give my Broadfork a pretty good throw into the earth, and then I'm going to stand on it. I'm just going to go side to side. So this is really compacted. It is, this earth has not been moved for at least 12 years. Maybe even longer, and so I can't get more than about 6 inches down into that. So I'm going to lean back, and I'm going to start to lift the ground up. So tilt it down just a little bit. So can you see how all that's coming up? And then I'm going to move back, and I'm going to do the same thing, so side to side. It's a pretty decent workout. Ugh. Some areas are going to move a little bit better than others. You have to keep your balance, and it's probably better if you use some type of shoe other than Astrals. These are our river shoes. And then I'm going to pull back. Now, ideally, using a Broadfork, you're just aerating, but because this is brand new soil that I've never worked with before, I'm going to have to get rid of all of the weeds and all of their root systems as well. So that's not ideal, but that's the only thing that I can do right now. And then I'm going to amend the soil with compost, and then I'm going to plant it. So pull it up. That whole chunk comes up. Now I'm going to flip it over, and you can just see.
Mom, but that's where the dog fence is.
I don't think the dog fence is right here.
It's either.
So when I do this, okay, watch out. So as I do this, I'm going to try to keep as much intact as I can, and then I'm just pulling off the pieces of.
And you might find some grubs.
Oh, you might find all sorts of things. So grubs, like really giant, they look kind of like worms, but they're not. They're really nasty.
They have red heads.
They have little red faces. We just, we either give them to friends who have chickens, because chickens love them, or leave them out for birds to have. So anyway, so little bits at a time. This is pretty labor intensive, but again, if you have a tiller at your disposal, you're welcome to use that as well. So I would move this whole thing to the side, and then I would start to add compost to it. And then over the years, this soil is going to turn from red clay to really healthy, great soil. All right, so start getting your beds ready, start getting your soil prepared, and then we're going to plant next, okay? See you next time.